Everybody, today I'm back to go on to my fifth segment here. Basically, I said I was going to help you basically find places to fish. I know mum's the word, and a lot of people you might hate me for saying what I'm saying today on this video about where to fish, but keeping these secrets from everyone and whatever the place is, and some of them aren't as secrets as you think they are. There's places that people say, oh, I'm the only one that ever goes there, and blah, 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 it's my spot. Well, it's not your spot. It's everybody's spot. And fishing the creeks of Lake Ontario, tributaries, all these little creeks, basically, have to start somewhere. And the understanding of that will get you into actually different sizes and different types of fish, and also accessibility to these places. If you go into Google Maps, which is probably one of the best things to find all these little creeks and all these little tributaries, is basically I like to fish out towards Garden Hill. Now, Garden Hill is a very small little community. It has a big pond, so it's holding lots of water, and that water is constantly being fed into the creek, and from that creek all the way down to another pond, and that pond empties into part of the Ganaraska tributaries, which turn into the Ganaraska River. So, as far as length, the length of these from the tributaries all the way down the lake is quite a long ways, and obviously the farther north you go, the water is going to be colder. It's also going to be a lot shallower, and anything from basically you get like Highway 115 all the way out to basically Bewdley, like Race Lake area, all across number 9, which is Clark Line, Kirby, Ski Hill. There's a couple little Elizabethville in between, and then you get out to Garden Hill, and then even a little past that, Camelcroft, and then out towards, basically you're heading towards Port Hope now. So going across that highway itself, there's tons of little tunnels through the actual highways, and fishing those edges and going into the bush a bit, is where you're going to catch nice little brookies and nice small browns and nice little rainbows. So if you're kind of guy like I like a 4-weight system when I'm fishing a creek, about a 7-foot rod, and it gets me in there just nice. So like I said, the extra 7 feet that I have is where I can be away from the shore line itself. So I'm standing 7 feet back from the edge, and actually probably a little more, usually 10 to 12, because then I'm using another 3 or 4 feet of line that I'm going to throw out, that's actually going to hang onto the bank or onto whatever's there, and then it'll basically go into the rapid and come down, and it'll add tension to it and pull it into wherever the swirl goes, and that's where you'll probably catch most of your fish. But getting away from that, this is mostly about where to fish. So like I said, the Ganaraska River, it's a big friggin' thing, and you start down the lake and you're in huge powerful water all the way up into the middle, and then basically into the tributaries where they're running slower. So depending on what you want to fish for, the bigger fish, you're going to head basically below the 401 and just a little above the 401, like basically when you also get into, say, Bowmanville, and you hit the Bowmanville Creek right on Highway 2, and then you can go down basically and fish, but you're not going to catch a lot of those smaller nice fish in that area. That's a big fish country basically. That's where the fish are coming in and going out, so the chances of fishing them for small little rainbows and browns and specks, you're not going to get them there. You're just going to get the bigger rainbows and the bigger browns. So as we start to get away, like say even Oshawa Creek right here in our own town, again, same sort of scenario. You have the harbor where people go out and fish because fish are stacking up and getting ready to move in. So if you're after those bigger fish, that's a great place to start. and then the creek only allows you to go up to the railroad tracks until the opening, and once the opening's on, it's game free. The Oshawa Creek, which goes all the way like to one nice area, which is the different parks, and you can walk along the path, makes it very accessible, but it's also a very noisy kind of area as well. So again, you're not catching much smaller fish, you're catching a lot of the bigger fish. They stand out. A lot of the little fish that are way up farther north of that. So basically talking about the Ganaraska, the Bowmanville, the Oshawa Creek, basically same type of design. You look at it as sort of three sections, your bottom, your middle, and then your top. And I fish the top mostly. So I'm going after those 6 to 12 inch to 14 inch little guys. And all those tributaries that you go across, like say you go to Google Map, you can see them right on the map. You can buy a topographical map and take that with you and do some discovering of that. But one issue I do want to get into is like the private property issue, and no trespassing and no fishing and fishing clubs and all this kind of stuff. And when I started fishing down here, there wasn't any of that. When I was 16-year-old kid going out there and fishing, no one had don't fish here, don't fish there, got a club, whatever the case is. So it is tougher to find places, but there are plenty of conservation areas around, and they're good places to start. I don't advise you to go onto private property, but I'm not going to lie that I have many times, and there's certain places that I go, and I've been going for 25 years or whatever the case, and no one's ever told me I can't fish, even though there's some hokey little sign set up on a tree somewhere, or don't trespass here or whatever. To me, especially in the rivers, they don't own the shoreline. Creeks, you do. Creeks are owned entirely to any property owner. So if you're trespassing as far as that way and they say get off, you get off. But you go stand into a river and no one can tell you that you're not allowed to be there. You're in a river, okay? You're not on anybody's property. So, people will use canoes or like float tubes and things like that and access some of these other areas. So that's one good important tip too. From there, we're going to go into the Pawnee Pool area, 115 to Highway 35. You go past Pawnee Pool, just a little north, and there's a turnoff road there. And if you get on the Google Maps, you'll find Fleetwood Creek. Now, Fleetwood Creek's a very small creek, but has probably the most beautiful speckled trout that I've ever seen. It goes down to a private pond, but everybody fishes that. It's not a big deal. I used to keep that place very quiet. I never told anybody about this, and really till now I haven't really told anybody about it. But it's one of the nicest little ponds for catching little speckled trout, and I go in there with my float tube. I go in there just by using a few split shots and a worm and fill it up with air and let it float off the bottom. That's a great place to go, is the Fleetwood Creek just north of Pawnee Pool. Places to go see fish too, as far as that goes. When the opening right now, coming soon in about a month, Camp Samac is a great place to go walk up into and have a look around at the fish itself. Again, you've got private property. It says no trespassing and all these stupid things, but it's Camp Samac, and if that gate's open, I'm going in and I'm going down to see the fish. You can kick me out if you want, but to see 200 to 300 fish lying in a creek where you can basically walk over them, that's what it looks like, that you could. It's a phenomenal thing to see. And the staff there, they don't usually bother you too much. The officers say, well, it's private and you have to get out, okay, see you later, but they're not like charging you with trespassing or whatever the case is. But a great place to go up to, Camp Samac, and see the fish, take the kids, whatever the case is. But when you see 20 and 25 plus pound rainbows and browns swimming side by side in a creek like that, it is quite the sight. There's no doubt about it. If you do have any other questions as far as where to fish, again, you can you leave a comment and I can address it, whatever the case is. But like I say, you can just go onto Google Map and go in. I like to start, like I say, right at using Garden Hill at the center of your map, and start scrolling into it, and you'll bring the area down, and you'll start seeing all the creeks that run across there, and there is a ton of them, and they're all great little creeks. They all hold nice fish, but again, stealth in these areas are so important. You're not in big rapid water. There's not a lot of sounds, not a lot of crashing around. So going under there and going in there, just, like I say, 2 people the most ever. And usually what I do if I fish with someone is I sneak up to the first pool and I fish it, and then once it's fished, and if I caught one or not, whatever the case is, then the next guy behind me, he sneaks up to the next pool, and we trade pools off from pool to pool. We both don't fish the same pool, and we allow one person to stay back and watch, and that person watching can add a lot of information as they're watching, because they're watching maybe the water or something else, and they see something or see a fish jump up a little farther or downstream or whatever, and keeping an eye out. It's like say, it's a very important thing to be looking and understanding your environment and what you're around. And again, the next section I want to get into is more of what is falling into the water, and why, and where, and how you can basically catch more fish with these tips. So as far as like I say, you got the Ganaraska River, the Bowmanville Creek, the Oshawa Creek, out at Garden Hill, the tributaries, Pawnee Pool, nice little area to fish. Camp Samac to go up and actually see these big fish jump up the stream. There's a fish ladder system sort of set up where they can jump up, and you can watch a 30-pound fish leap itself out of the water. It's quite the thing to see. And again, using Google Maps to find these tributaries and that, and how to get there. And like I say, it's fun just driving around for a day on a nice day, and just stopping in different spots off the highway and fishing these little pools that are a couple feet off the edge of the road. And you don't have to go in far, and if you want to, you can. But they're great little spots. So I'll see you next time, and I'll give you some more tips, and fish on.